This is Al Rogers from the Progressive Communication Network. I'm standing in front of the Roosevelt House. And across the street, you'll be able to see the Teddy and the Bully Bar. I'm at 1215 M Street. Now, right behind me is the Roosevelt House, which has got quite extensive landscaping, as you can see. Now, they only have takeout at Teddy and the Bully Bar. I wish I was an alcoholic, because they're giving 50% off vodka. Haven't consumed less vodka in my lifetime than some people have done on a weekend. I'm not going to mention any names. Steve Kane. Anyway, as you can see behind me, that's the Roosevelt House. It's a 3-story, I would guess about 7,500 square feet. No, more than that. Probably about 10,000 square feet building. But I mean, the landscaping is quite lush. Anyway, a couple things that have happened today, the last week or so, in reference to this crisis. We have, in the past 2 months, seen 4 different inspector generals. Now, for people who are not familiar with what the inspector general does, there are 78 inspector generals, and then you also got your deputy inspector generals, some of which have been have served since the Bush administration, through the Obama administration, and now through the Trump circus administration. But what's really sad is, even though I've been living here for 7 months, with occasional returns to South Florida for 3 or 4 days at a pop, very disappointing that you have to order takeout to these restaurants instead of actually be able to sit in and have a meal. Anyway, Trump has decided to attack the Biden on the fact that he is not as mentally quick as he was 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know. Somebody who's taking the liberty of telling over 18,000 lies, of which probably 3/4 of them he knows he's lying when he says it, and probably 1/4 of them is because his memory is failing, so he'll alter and sometimes exaggerate. Like, he fantasized that he was once named Michigan Man of the Year. I don't know. If we were in a building of 1,000 people, there'd probably be more women that could be named Man of the Year than him. He ran away from 2 reporters when he was challenged, one from the Times and one from the CNN. Anywho, he called the Obama administration incompetent. Give you a brief history of the Affordable Health Care Act. Prior to the Affordable Health Care Act, 2009 and 2010 saw bankruptcies go up 12% each year. Now, the Affordable Act was passed in March of 2010, didn't go in effect in 2011. The very first year, bankruptcies caused by unpaid medical bills, which account to 62% of all bankruptcies, decreased by 12%. The following year, in 2012, it dropped 14%. 2015, an additional 12% drop. 2016, an additional 12% drop. Now, in the mathematically challenged mind of Trump, when the economy is going good, his interpretation is the administration is incompetent in some way. He needs to give back his economics degree from the Wharton School of Finance, and he should be banned permanently from the University of Pennsylvania's campus for being so intellectually dishonest and being an embarrassment to the office of the presidency. He's behind on 49 out of 50 governors have a better rating with the public, in some cases as much as a 20% difference in approval rating than his rating. He's even behind in polls in Texas, a solidly solidly red state over the past 24 years. Now, you can comment on this video by calling 888-465-2631, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. The legendary Steve Kane show airs on WWNN. Call 888-465-2631 with your comments. Or you can email me at democrat.activist@gmail. The Progressive Communication Network, that has a reach of a couple 100,000 people, the 31,000 members, forward videos that are posted there. So potentially many of those videos have gotten a couple 100,000 hits. Again, the Affordable Health Care Act was a moderate success. I say moderate success because there's a 17% administration waste when it filters through your hospitals. If it's handled through Medicare for All, the administration cost is only 2.5%. When you go into your doctor's office, a typical average size practice, there will be about 15% administrative waste because they got to deal with several dozen different insurance companies, and the only time they have any administrative efficiency is if they're dealing with the people 65 or over, or the disabled that have Medicaid and Medicare. There, the administration cost is less. Each year, while we deal with an inefficient healthcare system, more than $200 billion administrative waste every year. It's fiscally irresponsible to allow insurance companies to manage our healthcare system. They're one of the few licensed businesses that I consider criminal enterprises, because the Affordable Health Care Act was supposed to make it illegal for doctor-prescribed treatments to be denied. I know of many examples of personal examples of friends and relatives, and myself included, where medication I've had for several years, they claim they have a right to countermand a physician's order. I'm not going to go into what medicines that I've been on for several years. I've been successful in combating rheumatoid arthritis, so I'm no longer on the Humira, the $36,000 a year drug. I'm no longer on that. I'm taking care of that holistically through taking turmeric and various other herbs. My psoriatic arthritis is much improved because I drink oxygenated water, Crystal Harmony oxygenated water. So if you want to see other videos, please subscribe. Please forward this video to other people that are not informed. Forward to this video to as many Trump supporters as you can, because many of them don't realize that virtually everything that comes out of that man's mouth is a lie or an exaggeration. And he accused one of the best moments of 2020 is when he accused the nurses and doctors of hijacking PPE. I don't think that people realize that in the middle of March, he allowed ventilators to be exported out of this country. He allowed different manufacturers to export those ventilators outside this country when we were facing huge amount of deaths in New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey coming up in the month of April. If we had testing available, in early February, probably half the lives would have been saved. They knew of the pandemic the very first week of January. South Korea had testing kits that they could have mass-produced and shipped to us the very first week of February. But the FDA and the NIC had a turf war. You have a real leader in the White House. The turf war between the FDA, the NIC, doesn't happen. He allowed a true patriot, Timothy Zima, to be forced out of the National Health Security Advisory role for pandemic response. By May of 2018, practically 90% of his team had been transferred to other departments and or forced to retire. So when somebody takes away your administrative core of your team, now Trump will blame John Bolton, National Security Advisor, but the senior advisor when it came to the pandemic response was retired Rear Admiral Timothy Zimmer, somebody who's commandeered as a Navy SEAL, as a helicopter pilot, over 550 missions in Vietnam. Somebody who, when he was in charge of, from 2006 to 2017, the amount of malaria deaths around the world decreased by 40% under his leadership. And he was asked to move out of that department. Richard Fine. Richard Fine, he was tossed out, a top viral expert who said hydrochloroquine was not an effective treatment for an oncoming COVID virus. If Trump is really following his own advice and taking that, the fact he's 75 years old is practically 50 pounds overweight, and I'm being kind. He's probably more than 50 pounds overweight. I'm reaching the end of where I can upload this to Instagram. So if you follow me on Instagram, Palm Beach Fun, or Democrat Activist, or One Peace Activist, you can see this video a little later today. Again, this is Al Rogers of the Progressive Communication Network. Go to Facebook, just type in Progressive Communication Network, all one word. You'll go to the page. And I'm signing off, and everybody have a good evening. Again, call 888-465-2631, anytime between 6 and 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.